Great. So if everyone would just like to apply their oil to their neck and face, I would recommend applying a bit more than you would apply for a day. So if you have a 30 ml bottle, it's about half of the pipette. If at any point you need more oil, please apply a little bit more. How you'll know if you need some more is if you are not able to move kind of freely across your skin, if you feel like you're pulling or dragging, or you have any kind of like discomfort or friction. A few guidelines before we begin. Nothing about this practice should hurt or be painful. If you are working with any breakouts, cuts, abrasions, bruises, if you have any particularly sensitive areas of your skin, just be really mindful of how you're working. I would work around any breakouts or broken skin, not over them. I'm working with a couple of breakouts here, so I'll be able to demonstrate very well. And for sensitive skin, you know your skin better than I do. Just be mindful. Don't hurt yourself. If it hurts, it doesn't mean it's working. It just means you're hurting yourself. Cool. This is suitable for all skin types. It's suitable for pre and postnatal pregnancy, so I don't need to know anything like that. Okay, we're going to start on the neck, and we're going to start with our hands. Using as much surface area as possible, we're just going to work down one side and down the other side. So this practice is going to be a slightly more invigorating practice. We are going to be focusing on lifting, toning, depuffing, brightening the skin. We are also going to be working deep into some big muscle groups to do a little bit of release. When we're using faster movements, you use a very light pressure, and when we're using deeper movements, you slow right down. So you don't want to be using a really hard pressure and going fast, because you're just going to hurt yourself. So no hurting ourselves, no pain. This is supposed to be nice. This will be nice. Wonderful. And take this opportunity just to kind of see how your neck is feeling. You can start to increase the pressure a little bit more. I'm only applying pressure with the fingers. It looks like I'm strangling myself. I'm not. So just be mindful that you're not also gripping on with your thumb. Just with the fingers. And here you can start to work using fingertips on a little bit of a diagonal. So you're working from just underneath the ear down to this point of the collarbone, still working one side and then the other. Slowing it down and applying a little bit more pressure on the diagonal, working on, oh, can you see it? No, this muscle here that runs from just behind the ear to the collarbone, our sternocleidomastoid. Really nice. And we're just gonna take this behind the neck. So on the back of the neck, we have our spine that runs down the center, two muscles on either side. So we're gonna use our hands. I can't spin around to show you, but I'm using them like this to work up either muscle on either side, both muscles on either side of the neck. And remember, if you want to apply a little bit more pressure, just slow it right down. If you find any little knots or tender points and you want to work into there, you just press and hold. I don't know if you can see. Oh, press and hold. I'm sat in a very deep armchair on top of a lot of pillows, so I'm not very mobile. Wonderful. Really nice. Placing hands just underneath the collarbones, applying a little bit of downwards pressure, so you can see I'm getting that kind of slight stretch. We're just going to tilt the head back and get a nice stretch through the front of the neck. These front muscles that are so often compressed when we're looking down at phones, screens, giving them a nice stretch. If it feels too strong, you can come back to center, have a little rest, and then go back into that stretch. Wonderful. Coming back to the front, I'm going to show you two options. So the first is to take hands and work, either using front of the hands or backs of the hands, whatever's more comfortable for your wrist. We're going to work up one side of the neck, under the chin, and over to the other side of the neck. This is option 1, and you can stay here. Option 2 is getting our lovely gua sha tool involved. And if you're coming with me, you're going to use the big curve here. Whatever tool you're using, it'll have this curve. If you're using my tool, you'll have your serrated edge to the ceiling. And we're just going to start from just above the collarbone, pulling down slightly and working up. So you have that kind of counter pull here, and you're working up to just underneath the jaw, no further. With gua sha, I would recommend using same hand as same side of the face. Nice. And you can take this underneath the chin as well for a nice stretch under there. Each time applying this counter stretch, so your hands are moving away from each other. Nice. Just checking in on you guys. Wonderful. Really good. And swapping over to the other side, swapping hands, using I started with my right hand, so now I'm using the right hand for a little bit of downwards pressure, and using the left hand on the left hand side to go from just above the collarbone to just underneath the jaw. So you're not actually going over the bone at all. You're just working on this soft bit in between the jawbone and the collarbone. They're kind of the parameters for where you're working into. Really nice. And spending a little bit of extra time underneath the chin. This is how cats must feel when they get like a little scratch under their chin. So this is an area where we can hold quite a lot of fluid. So it's nice to just work into here a little bit. Nice. Popping the tool down whenever you're ready. We're going to make some little prayer hands. Popping thumbs underneath the chin. So my thumbs are like here, quite close to the front. And just going out. Nice. And coming back to the front. I feel like I didn't explain that very well. I'll show you from the side. So close to the edge of the chin and then working out. So you're going in like a V underneath the chin. So using thumbs to work all underneath that jaw. And with the hands on the face, you're also doing a little bit of effleurage, a gentle stroke from just the side of the nose, under the eyes and out across the cheeks, not applying too much pressure. This is quite a good one if you're ever feeling a little bit puffy, a little bit congested, as it's a pretty multifaceted move, working on different areas of the face. Wonderful. Next, popping thumbs a little bit deeper under the chin. So we were here, we're going a little bit further back, and we're going to use these two fingers, the first fingers, just to work into this chin muscle. So I think it's called our mentalis muscle. Probably got that wrong. Hopefully there's no biologists here. Nice. So just spending a little bit of time here, working into this muscle before we go, and we're going to do a little sequence on one side of the face and then move over to the other side of the face, where we're going to really be focusing on those jaw muscles, yes, but no muscles work in isolation. All muscles work in synergy with each other. So if our jaw has been clenched, engaged, if we've been stressed or teeth grinding or anything like that, all of the buccal muscles will have also been engaged. The buccal muscles are the muscles that sit all around the mouth and the lower half of the face. Wonderful. So we're going to start to do a little bit of warming up into this part using the long bits of these fingers oops, keeping your wrists nice and loose, we're going to do a little bit of slapping into that cheek. Here you can go over the jaw as well, that big muscle. And try and keep your face as relaxed as possible, space between the top and bottom lip. Nice. And the direction that you're going in is up from just underneath the jaw bone to underneath the cheekbone. Wonderful. Coming out to the jaw, I just want you to pop your fingers here, clench your teeth together, and you'll feel the muscle that we're working on is about that wide. It runs from just underneath the cheekbone to the jaw. And we're going to start just by tapping, light taps over it. If you have any facial pain and any of these movements are too strong for you, just go back to the one that we were on before, because they're going to be getting progressively deeper. I hope that makes sense. We're doing like steps. Yeah. Nice. Making sure that you're keeping space between the top and bottom jaw always. You don't want to be contracting a muscle that you're trying to release. If you have got a lot of tension, this is a great place to start, because you know it's very superficial, but that tapping, that tapotement it's called in facial massage, encourages blood flow to the area, is warming up the muscle. Really nice. Next, taking it into some big, generous circles. I'm working with my two middle fingers. I'm trying to get as much surface area of the fingers touching the face as possible. So you're not just working with fingertips, you're making it nice and generous. And working over that whole muscle. So from just underneath the cheekbone to the bottom of the jaw, you can even come around the corner of the jaw a little bit as well. This is a really big muscle, it does a lot of work. And we'll just stay here for a little bit. And if at any point you want to apply more pressure, make sure that you slow down your speed. Keeping space between the top and bottom jaw. Keeping your tongue soft in the mouth. Swallowing a couple of times to make sure that your throat is nice and relaxed. I have to remember that I'm just telling you to relax my tongue. I need to keep using my tongue while I'm telling you what to do. Really nice. Okay, next we're going to take first finger and then those two fingers. So we're kind of walking. You can use whatever feels comfortable for you. We're walking from the top of the muscle down to the bottom of the muscle. We are applying inwards pressure, so in towards the face, but we're also applying like a stretching mode. So imagine that you're trying to like stretch Play-Doh that's like stuck on a table from the top to the bottom. Really making sure that you're keeping space between the top and bottom jaw. So muscles contract and release. If something has been engaged for a long time, it will harden and tighten. So if you think about like if you've been doing a lot of exercise, you've been engaging those muscles and like your legs feel super tight. And when you have a massage, they stretch out those muscles. That's exactly what we're doing here. Really nice. And for the next little bit, if you are working without a tool, without a gua sha today, no problem. You're gonna work from top to bottom doing like little bits of acupressure. So press and hold and just stay there for a moment. If you're not feeling much and you want it to be stronger, take your knuckle instead and you press and hold. Oh, that feels really strong for me. And you're gonna hold, 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 breathe, breathe, breathe. Make sure you're breathing, space between the top and bottom jaw, tongue relaxed, release, and then move down slightly. If you're working with a tool, a way to do it with actually using kind of less physical effort on your behalf is using any pointy edge of the tool and just pressing and holding. And it's strong, but you don't have to try as hard, basically. If you're finding this super unbearable and you're like, I hate this, release. Take a couple of breaths. Remember, you can release at any time and come back to it. If you hate it in general, you can do some little static circles, which is a quite nice distraction to any pain or discomfort you might be feeling. You can do little vibrations into the muscle, or you can pump in and out. So each time you're going like a little bit deeper, but you're not getting the same kind of strong feeling from just holding it. You might like the pain. If you like it, you keep going. Some days will feel different to others. One side will feel different to another side. That's all completely fine. And moving at your own pace, just working down the muscle so that you've done a little bit of acupressure over the whole muscle. If you've lost your muscle, pop your hand there, clench your teeth together, and you'll find it again. And you can start to work into that. For some people, again, they'll be more prominent than others. It's just our anatomy. Anatomy? Is that what I mean? I think so. Nice. And once you've had enough, give yourself some little very gentle, soothing circles. You can do a little bit of a vibration into there, some little taps. Or if you have your tool, we're going to be working just a little bit more over this muscle, and then we'll give it a rest for now. Working with any short side of the tool. If you have the typical heart-shaped tool, work with like this bit of the heart. Yeah, that bit. Exactly. Placing your fingers, just at the bottom. So fingers of the opposite hand, that's one, just at the bottom. We're just gonna place the tool as flat to the skin surface as possible. Flat, 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 flat. Stick that elbow up. And we're gonna pull. So it's a stretch across the muscle. Really slow, 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 slow. Pull. And you are doing a little bit of a counter stretch in the opposite direction. Nice. Really good. Counter stretch in the opposite direction. Little pull across that muscle. Wonderful. Really nice. I'm just taking a couple of strokes down the neck. You can do it with hands. You can do it with your tool if you're used to working with that. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay, nice. Is everyone feeling okay? Yeah, give your jaw a little wiggle. Hands a little wiggle. Good, nice. So we're going to keep working into this side of the face a little bit. So let's just start with our hands and do some nice just strokes. There's no real art to this. You're just using as much surface area of your hands as possible and just stroking up kind of on a diagonal. It can feel quite comforting just to work over that masseter, the jaw muscle as well. Very light, not really applying any pressure, just doing little strokes, a little effleurage, a little bit of a lift. Nice. If you're not working with a tool, continue with that for a moment. If you are working with the gua sha, using the big curve, so every tool has this big curve. I have serrated edges to the ceiling, placing my fingers just here, like just underneath the lips. We're going to work on the same pattern, just doing a nice lift Wiggle when you get to the ears, and you can come down the neck if you feel like it, if you're feeling a bit puffy. I had quite a salty takeaway last night, like I do every Friday night, so I'm always puffy for these workshops on Saturday morning. So when you are working with your tool, you want to keep it as flat to the skin surface as possible. You're giving a little counter stretch with these fingers. Nice. Wonderful. Really good job. Nice. Okay. We're going to come back to doing a little bit of deeper work. It may feel slightly uncomfortable, particularly if you have any jaw tension. So we're going to work here underneath the cheekbone. So if you just feel where your cheekbone is and you feel where your cheekbone isn't, we're not going in. So this is in, we're going up. Can you see the difference? Up. So this lip should lift, and we're going to just go straight in because we have warmed up the area quite a lot, using the knuckle of the opposite hand, placing it just underneath the cheekbone. That top lip should lift because we're doing an upwards movement, and you're just going to run it along under that cheekbone, and it will feel quite strong. If it's too strong and you don't like it, just use fingertips instead. If at any point you feel that you need if you're finding it a bit difficult to move freely across the skin, remember you can apply a little bit more oil. So this is a lovely sculpting move. If you follow Face Gem, you've probably seen they do a lot of this on the face, but actually this is really, really good for anyone who clenches the jaw, because if you just engage your jaw, you'll feel under here tighten up as well. And this also hardens, and it's like an attachment, so it gets harder and stiffer. So it's nice to work underneath there. So yes, it is good for giving you little cheekbones, but also it's good for releasing all of the muscular tension that's going on under here. It's also a great pathway to work on if you ever get congested sinuses. Really nice. Either continuing to work with the knuckle, or you can involve your gua sha. The difference is that it's easier using a gua sha, I find. Popping any pointy edge up underneath the cheekbone and working underneath the cheekbone. Taking it really slow. Nice. And once you feel comfortable working underneath the cheekbone, you can start to do a little bit of extra work still. So starting from just next to the nose, underneath that cheekbone, pressing and holding. And whenever you're doing a press and hold, you're just giving the fascia time to like release. Nice. Releasing and moving over a centimeter. And of course, you can do this with fingertips as well. So let me just demonstrate on the other side. You want to be hooking up and under. I promise you, after this, there's nothing as uncomfortable. We will have worked on all of the little bits that really make you go like. Wonderful. Really nice. I'm just doing some little strokes, keeping it nice and light. Great. We're going to come next to work into this little line, the nasolabial line, and we're just going to start by doing some little pecks over it. Peck, 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 peck. So this is the line that runs from the corner of the nose to the corner of the mouth. Nice. Next, we're going to come to place fingertips in the middle of the line. It's a pretty small area that we're working with, but do the best that you can. Fingers in the middle of the line. And we're just going to count to stretch in opposite directions. Is it better if I show you this way? Count to stretch. So I'm just going up towards my nose, I'm touching the nose, and down towards the corner of the mouth. Really nice. Then we're going to do my, actually, while we're here, with the gua sha, we can do a little bit of extra work. So either using the serrated edge, pulling the skin tight and working over it like this to create some light friction. If your tool hasn't got a serrated edge, just take a little pointy edge, pull the skin tight, light, so light, friction over the line. And this is something that can be used over any lines. If you're working around the eyes, of course, be very, very, very gentle. This encourages microcirculation to the area. You want to see it like flushing just a little bit, but you want it not bright red, you know, so it goes down quite quickly afterwards. Nice. And a final one that we're going to do here just with the tool, and then we'll go on to work on these muscles, is just using a curve. So that will be the top of the heart if you have a traditional gua sha, placing it in the center of your lips, still working on the same side, just tipping it to one side, putting your hands here and stretching out. So we have a circular muscle that runs around the mouth, the orbicularis ori, and we're just stretching out half of it. Sorry, this is one of the ones that I should talk first and then demonstrate. Really nice. Popping down the tool, we're gonna pinch next to the mouth, work all the way across the buccal muscles, the muscles that run around the mouth. We have two big muscles here as well. Pinch, 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 pinch. I'll demonstrate. Pinching the corner of the mouth, so not the cheek, next to the mouth. Good. Some kind of key areas that you can focus on. Working very much on the outside, you can kind of target these nasolabial lines as well, spending a little bit of extra time there. If you have any fine lines around the mouth that are a concern for you, really lovely one to do. And also, if you have had jaw tension, can you see I'm tensing the jaw? These muscles engage too, these little ones here. So lovely to work a little bit more into them. You can use whatever fingers feels comfortable for you, but I find you have a little bit more space to get a little bit more surface area touching if you use the third finger and the thumb. But again, use what feels comfortable for you. All of our bodies are different. Nice. And when you get to the opposite side, we're gonna go back to exactly what we did. So I'm using these long fingers, my longest fingers. Super light pressure, so light, and keeping your face as relaxed as possible. You may find it a little bit easier if you pop your elbows out so that your chest is nice and open, shoulders down. Nice. And when you get to the outside of the face, just popping fingers here, clenching your teeth together and feeling where that muscle is that you're working on, and just starting with some light taps. And we're going to go into our jaw sequence on this side. Is everyone feeling okay? Yeah, good. Making sure that you're keeping space between the top and bottom jaw. Keeping your tongue really loose, like it's melting into your mouth. Swallowing a couple of times to release the throat. And just checking in to see where are your shoulders. Are they nice and relaxed? Taking some deep breaths and sighing it out. Keeping your belly nice and soft. Nothing should be engaged other than the hands that are doing the work. Wonderful. Then going into those big, generous circles, trying to get as much surface area of the hands touching the skin as possible. You can come to work a little bit behind the corner of the jaw if you like. That can feel quite nice. And just being mindful with pressure, checking in, does it feel good? Does it feel better if you use a little bit more pressure? Is it hurting? Remembering that if you're going to apply a little bit more pressure, make sure you slow it right down. Really good. Wonderful. Next, coming back to the top of the jaw, we're going to start to walk from the top to the bottom. So although we're applying a little bit of inwards pressure into the face, the pressure is like stretching. The energy is stretching out that muscle. You can even, if you feel like you want a little bit more of a stretch, you can use the other hand to just pin at the top and do that stretch down. Nice. Good. Wonderful. Coming next to apply a little bit more pressure. So you can work with fingertips, press and hold. You can work with your knuckle, press and hold. Or you can work with your gua sha tool. Pointy bit, press and hold. See what feels nice for you. I personally find working with the tool easy, like you get more for doing less, which is always a good thing, isn't it? And just working at your own pace. I recommend starting at the top and working down the muscle so that you're always working methodically. You know where you've been, you know where you're going. Nice. And we're going to stay here for a little bit doing acupressure over the muscle. If you feel comfortable closing down the eyes, giving yourself an opportunity to tune into how your body or facial muscles are feeling a little bit more, please do. If you're finding it unbearable, remember you can release. Take a couple of breaths and come back to it. You can incorporate some little static on the spot circles or vibrations. If you've had enough of the torture altogether, you can just do some nice circles instead. Wonderful. Nice. Whenever you're ready, just using the opposite hand to do some little circles, keeping it nice and superficial. We're going to anchor at the bottom of the muscle. Using the short edge of the tool, we're going to do a bit of a stretch up. So a little bit of downwards pressure here, very subtle, counter stretch to moving up across that big muscle. If you're struggling to get that angle, stick out your elbow. It just opens everything up a little bit more. Really nice. Oh my God, the time goes so quickly. Okay, using palms of hands, we're just gonna work up here. You can either work with that and stay there, or using the curved edge of your tool, you can anchor just beneath your lips here. Curved edge of the tool, so it's like curving, like on the natural curve around your mouth. Perfect. Elbow up, keeping the tool as flat to the skin as possible, anchoring here, moving up. Wonderful. Really nice. So a little counter stretch, very, very subtle. Just working to release all these big muscles, fascia that sits across the face. So nice. And you can come down the neck a little bit if it feels good for you. Great. So we're going to come to do a little bit of harder work up underneath the cheekbone, using knuckle of the opposite side, feeling where your cheekbone is, feeling where it isn't, and making sure that you're working up, under, running that knuckle underneath. If the knuckle is too strong for you, no problem, just use fingers. I find it nice to just give it, because our fingers are quite weak really, aren't they? So it's nice to give them like a little bit of support in case they need it. A knuckle will always feel stronger. One side may be more sensitive for you than the other. Like this side for me feels completely fine and the other side was absolute torture. Wonderful. And you can continue with this, or you can use your gua sha tool, selecting a little pointy bit, popping it underneath and running it underneath the cheekbone. Being mindful of pressure and definitely like keep it super slow. Really nice. And if you wanted to do a little bit of deeper work, you can press and hold. This is also a really lovely one for sinuses. Just working up along underneath the cheekbone, pressing and holding, working out, holding each point for a breath or two. And just checking that you've still got that space between the top and bottom jaw. Really nice, just repeating once more. And you can use fingertips, you can use your knuckle, you can use the tool, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Great. And just doing some nice little superficial moves. And we're going to come to do a little bit of work on the nasolabial line, so the line that runs from the corner of the nose to the corner of the mouth. We're just going to start by pecking, peck, 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 peck. And you can see it just flushes, but that redness would go down super quick. Wonderful. Popping fingertips in the center, and we're going to do a little pull in opposite directions, stretching out the muscles, a quarter of the orbicularis ori that sits around the mouth, also working over the nasolabial line. Really nice. Okay, final move next to the mouth. We're going to use two hands at the same time, popping fingertips just above the lip. And we're going to work out with the bottom hand, so like we're walking. So here we're working on the risorius muscles, the muscles that contract to make us smile. And just giving them a nice stretch out. Really nice. Okay, great. So creating some little lobster claws. So we're going to pop them either side of the nose and pull out. And this is going to be our little eye sequence. Here we're working to decongest the sinuses. You don't need to use a hard pressure. I'm using a light pressure and you can see the blood is coming to the surface quite quickly. So working lightly around the eyes. And also great for any sinuses. Next, taking fingertips, we're just going to push them up into the corner, into the kind of point where the eyebrow meets the nose. Push up and hold. Oops, for a couple of breaths. Work hard over those corrugator muscles where the eyebrows are. Light underneath the eyes. Hard over the eyebrows. Light back underneath the eyes. So like a circle around the eye. Hard overneath the eyebrow. Overneath. Over the eyebrows. Light underneath the eyes. Wonderful. And just coming onto the forehead. Using flats of hands, we're going to work up. So here, I want you to imagine that you're stretching, really stretching these muscles. So although you're applying the kind of inwards pressure into the face, it's a lot of upwards energy, upwards movement, upwards pressure, so that you're stretching out those frontalis muscles, the muscles that sit across the forehead. They contract, shorten to give us these little lines. Nice. If you want to increase that stretch a little bit, you can anchor just above the eyebrows and pull in opposite directions. So anchoring just above the eyebrow and pulling in opposite directions. And swapping which hand is on top for the opposite side. So yeah, you've all got it. Giving a little stretch. You can stick with that or using your gua sha tool, which I always think is easier personally, taking the big curve so that it sits kind of like in the arch of your eyebrow, popping your fingers here for a little anchor, applying a little bit of downwards pressure and pulling up with the tool. And you can wiggle on into the hairline, which feels quite nice. Making sure that you're working gently here, you'll see the blood comes quite quickly. It's possible to burst blood vessels here, so don't apply a lot of inwards pressure. Your pressure and your energy is up, out, stretch, not into the forehead. Nice. And you can also do the same, but working from the center and working out. Nice. And swapping hands to do the other side. Really nice. Just going to finish on the brow by doing some little brow pinches. So pressing and holding for a couple of breaths, releasing and working out slightly, releasing and working out slightly, releasing and working out slightly, and just repeating a few times. And then I'm going to give you all the opportunity, if you like, to go and wash your hands, because I really want to spend a little bit of time working intraorally. So if you want to go and wash your hands, now is the time to do it. Great. Really nice. And when the people I can see are back, just give it one more second. So while we're just waiting for everyone to get back, working intraorally, if you haven't done it before, is amazing for working on all these buccal muscles. Today's been very jaw heavy, so I hope that's okay for everyone. We're going to be working in this whole area, both internally and externally, just popping our finger, our thumb inside the cheeks. So some key areas to be aware of is basically everything that we've already done. Up underneath the zygomatic arch, underneath the cheekbone, coming all the way back here to this big masseter muscle, which you know goes from the cheekbone down to the jaw. So like we're working on big surface area here. We're going to be working on all of the muscles that sit in the cheek and the buccal muscles, as well as the orbicularis ori that runs around the mouth. And we're going to do the same on the other side. The way that you do it is by popping your thumb. I'll talk first and then I'll demonstrate. I always get this wrong. Popping your thumb inside the mouth and working simultaneously externally and internally. So your thumb, obviously I can't show you inside my mouth, but your thumb inside your mouth is also moving. It's like they're magnets, they're stuck together. So I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to be working to start with in 3 semicircles, 1 semicircle, 2 semicircle, 3 semicircle, paying attention to all in the 3 semicircle, 3rd semicircle, paying attention to all the way around here and here, top and bottom jaw. Did you see? 1 semicircle, 2 semicircle, 3 semicircle. Okay, give it a go. Nice. So while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about pressure. So these muscles are strong muscles. They're involved in us talking, expressing ourselves, eating. They work super hard. They are not sensitive. They're not delicate. If you have got a lot of tension, this may feel painful to you. In that case, just work lightly first. And as the muscle starts to warm up, it will be able to release a little bit more. Having said that, although the muscles are not sensitive, the skin is sensitive. So please keep a little bit of awareness about how your skin is feeling, so that you don't get too like red or hot or anything like that. If at any point you feel you need a little bit more oil, I was a bit dry, you can pop a little bit more on. I'm going to join you in this now. So once you feel comfortable with your 1 semicircle, 2 semicircle, 3 semicircle, You can go to the back and spend a little bit more time working on this big masseter muscle, just like we did on the outside. You can press and hold if that feels good to you. Press and hold and start to release some of the tension. You can do like a kind of pulsating movement again if that feels good to you. The idea is to manually work out the tension, stretch out the muscular fibers, and encourage blood flow to the area. Blood brings oxygen and nutrients. And once you've spent a little bit of time there, you can focus, or I like to focus on like the top jaw. So going all the way to the back and pulling all the way forward. And then doing the same on the bottom jaw, all the way back, all the way forward. Nice. What you can also do here is focus on this half of the orbicularis ori. So if any of these lines are of a concern, or these lines, or any fine lines around the mouth, this is a lovely one to do. So you pop your thumb a little bit more like on the inside of the lip here. You can also hook in and lift, lift. And that's basically what you would do on one side. Does that feel okay for everyone? Yeah, good, great. Whenever you're ready, we're going to move to the second side. So you use your opposite hand to opposite side, thumb just inside the mouth, and you're going to do your 1 semicircle, 2 semicircle, 3 semicircle to start to warm up the area. And once you feel comfortable with that, you can go to the back, really focus on this big masseter muscle. You can press and hold, release, or if it feels a bit tight, you can, like too tight to do any kind of hard moves into it, keep it light so you're not pinching too hard, and move a little bit faster. So it's a little bit of a brisker movement. So I can show you. And you can work on the top jaw, going all the way to the back and pulling forward. And also on the bottom jaw, going all the way to the back and pulling forward. Really nice. And then just doing a little bit of work on this bit here, thumb here, So you're working in like a semicircle with your outside fingers. Semicircle. And doing the same on the bottom. And you can also pull up there for a little bit of a lift. Really good, everyone. I'm conscious of the time, so whenever you have had enough, how are you all feeling? Good? Good. Okay, great. So we've done a lot of deep work into the jaw. There's very jaw and buccal muscle focus today, so I hope that that's good for everybody. Next month, I'll do pure gua sha and we can work a lot more with the gua sha tools. So just to finish up, we're gonna take our knuckles. If you want to put your spitty thumbs away, that's fine. Pop them underneath the ears, and we're just going to work down the neck. So whenever you do any facial massage practice, no matter how quick it is, always start and finish with the neck. Wonderful, really good. And we're just going to do some tapping over the chest. We have worked releasing a lot of tension, so make sure that you have a nice big glass of water after this. Taking some deep breaths, sighing everything out. Really nice. Giving those hands a shake, shaking off any negative energy that you have dispelled and moved from your body, from any tense muscles. And you are all done. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Does anyone have any questions for me at all? Oh, please feel free to unmute yourselves if you do. No, you're all good? So just make sure that you drink lots of water. You can, if you're like ready to go for the day, feel free to keep your facial oil on your skin. That's not a problem. It is quite a lovely day, so make sure you put SPF on if you're heading outside. If you have bought a ticket and not joined the Through Skin Society is our monthly members platform. You get access to 2 workshops a month, loads of tutorials, a whole archive of our workshops. You get exclusive offers on our store. This may even extend to like gift vouchers and treatments. Now that we're going to be reopening, we are reopening on the 12th of April. Our booking system is open. We would love to see you at the studio. If you think of any questions at all, just let me know. The next workshop is going to be in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be a restorative and nourishing practice, nothing painful, I promise. So yes, thanks so much for joining me, everyone, and hopefully see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks.